Sam Raimi, am I right? I mean, who doesn't love his movies? I sure did. But you know who didn't? Sony. So you made these two movies. And like, you know, who cares about Sam Raimi? We made two good movies. Or at least Sony thought. I personally prefer this over this. Now you can argue with me over it, or you can hear my reasoning why. Not in this video, but in another one. In this video, we're going to be talking about these two films and their important scenes in both the comic world and my own. Let's get started. So, to get us started off, I'd like to bring up that I prefer The Amazing Spider-Man, or TASM, whatever you want to, I'll be calling it TASM. I prefer that much more to Homecoming. When I watch Homecoming, it's good. I liked it. But something about it's just kind of like, yeah. It feels like a year in high school where you're there and then it's gone and you're like, what happened to the film? You know, what happened to this year? I just started, now it's over. And I was like, man, I wish there was more to unpack with Homecoming, but there's not really much. But with TASM, there's, at least to me, there's like an emotional layer that resides itself within the layers of the movie. And you may not agree with me, but let me get started. The first scene I'd like to bring up is that the fact that Peter Parker, he's not being made fun of by Flash, you know what I'm saying? Flash is making fun of some other kid. He looks over and he's like, Flash, come on, what are you doing? You perceive him as some too cool for school guy where he's just like, whoa, skateboard, am I right? And then the principal, he's like, Parker, wheels up. And he's like, okay, and he puts the wheels like this, and he's like, yeah, so he's being a smart aleck about it. And I thought that was funny, just a little preview. However, that is not a Peter Parker character move. That's definitely a Spider-Man move. However, we're getting off topic. Back to the scene. So Flash is making some kid eat his vegetables, and he's like, Parker, take a picture. He's like, take a picture. And then he's like, ain't doing it. Put him down, Flash. And he's like, you know what, let's fight. So he like punches Peter, and then punches Peter again. And he's like, you know, like that. And then Peter's like, oh, I fell. Oh, I almost fell. I fell, you know. And then Gwen's like, hey, you're failing your tests. And he's like, okay, my bad, I'm out. You know, and Gwen's like, hey, I liked what you did there with that. It's really brave. And he's like, I guess it was. But he's not really thinking about it. He's just like, huh, I saved someone on, purpose. So he could not really seem like a good guy, but just because he knew it was right. Then later on, he's like, gets yelled at for Uncle Ben for embarrassing Flash. He didn't really, though. In the basketball scene, he's just proving he's better at sports, you know? And it's like, it's not really embarrassing that much. And another scene I'd like to bring up was where Uncle Ben goes into the office, has to talk with the principal, and is like, Peter, what are you doing with your life? Don't do this. You can't do this. And he's like, well, I kind of did. I'm sorry, Uncle Ben. And he's like, hey, don't do it again. And then he runs. He's like, hey, you got to pick up Aunt May. Don't forget. And then he forgets about Aunt May because he's doing something with Dr. Connors. I don't know why. He was saving rats and making arms and things like that. And it was kind of dumb to make it on the same day because he was wearing different outfits. Nevertheless, I love the movie more. So he comes home and he's there, and Uncle Ben's like, hey, you forgot to pick up your aunt. He's like, oh, I forgot. And he's like, I'm sorry, Aunt May. And he's like, you don't have to apologize to me. Apologize to him. And he's like, I'm sorry, Uncle Ben. Man, don't protect him. And he starts screaming. And it's like, oh, what a big happy family we have here. So in the middle of the argument, Peter's up against the wall near the door, and he's like, and Uncle Ben comes over after yelling at Aunt May across the room. He's like, look, your father had this mantra where he's like, if you have the basically this stupid version of great power comes great responsibility, and it was well done, but I just didn't like it that much. He was like, you have a moral obligation, blah, blah, blah. You have a moral obligation to do those. Not choice, but responsibility. And I'm like, that's okay. The only reason I really kind of remembered it because it was the responsibility part. Like, oh, you're right, Uncle Ben. However, the more important thing to remember in this scene is that Peter, this is what makes me love this one movie more than Homecoming, was the very scene where he's like, where's my father now, huh? Was that not his responsibility? Did he not feel that he was obligated to be here to tell me himself right now in this moment? he's like, don't you dare. And he's like, don't you dare to Uncle Ben, because Uncle Ben is like, you don't disrespect my brother like that. But in Peter's defense, I've been there where, like, personally, because I haven't grown up with the dad in my life, it's like, and then Peter just leaves, and as someone that's not grown up with a father, I've done that several times myself, where I come home from like a volleyball tournament, and it's just so much, and I'm like, why couldn't my dad be there? Why can't you give me a dad that loves me and things like that? And it's like, it's hard, and it hit me hard, because I'm like, man, that reminds me of myself. And he slams the door, and it broke. I wouldn't have broken the glass, or at least I wouldn't have. He didn't either. Well, whatever. He breaks the glass, and he walks off, and Uncle Ben just goes off after him. And it's like, dude, you just screamed at him. You don't. I mean, if realism was real, then you would kind of wait a little bit. But it's not my movie. It's Sony's movie. Poor Mark Webb. He made a good movie. But those are the scenes that I thought were really important. And then in Spider-Man, so that was TASM 1. I love that movie. It's my third on my list right now. It's my Spider-Man tier list, if you will. So, on to TASM 2. I don't have that movie. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing right now. But the scene I just want to bring up real quick, because I don't really see any other importance in the movie, or at least I don't remember them, is Gwen Stacy's death. And what I thought was very important about that scene was how she fell, and he tried to save her. The hand came out and then grabbed her, and then she, and the neck was like, and as I've spoken before, the gravity of that moment was so important. How, rather than being able to save her, like he was able to save that one kid in the, I want to say, Jack, saving Jack from the car in TASM 1. Similar to how Peter in Spider-Man, in Raimi's Spider-Man series, saved random people, he saved this kid. It's only one. It's basically like one and done, and then we're out of that. But he did it. Okay, more importantly, he tries to save her, and he was able to save the kid. He was able to save a lot of people, but he was just not able to save the one he loves most. The way it happened was so moving, rather than it being like, Green Goblin stabs her, and he could have saved her. No, it was where she fell and just gravity took over. There was nothing he could have done with the, whiplash of her just, like a yo-yo, but the yo-yo, yeah, you know what I'm saying. You've seen the movie. Yeah, and it's like, he did that before. That's right, he did it in TASM 1, where he just threw out the window, right there, and she, my neck, and she didn't die. So I think he probably, because of that, was kind of like, oh, it's gotta work this time. And quick note, TASM 1 does have foreshadowing about the death. In one of the scenes with them together, they walk by clock tower, and it just keeps on the clock tower. I'm like, I wonder why. And I'm like, he dies on the clock tower, let's go. But yeah, that's all. That's honestly what I thought about TASM 1 and 2. That's all the scenes that are kind of important, at least to myself, and what I remember. On to Homecoming.